The anime starts inside a huge company where one employee finally gathered enough courage to confess to his coworker, and somehow, she actually said yes. Yeah, unbelievable. An anime protagonist successfully talking to a woman? We're already starting with fiction. Now these two have been secretly dating while acting normal at work. Meanwhile in the accounting department, two office aunties are busy gossiping instead of doing their jobs. They start talking about another couple in the company, saying, those two are definitely dating. They even took leave together. Bro, office workers detect relationships faster than FBI agents. One shared lunch and suddenly they've built an entire Netflix documentary. And nearby, a 28-year-old employee named Masugu Yui overhears all this nonsense. He looks at them and thinks, these women gossip more than my aunt. Honestly, this man woke up and chose violence. Just then, his senior coworker Hayakawa Shizuno walks over and asks him what he thinks about office romance. Masugu instantly panics and says he doesn't really know much about it. Bro answered like he was being interrogated by the police. But unlike him, Shizuno thinks office romance sounds super romantic. She starts imagining secretly dating someone at work like she's the main character in a K-drama. Unfortunately, another coworker named Maria immediately destroys her fantasy. Maria says office relationships are basically temporary DLC content. Most couples break up sooner or later anyway. Dang, she didn't just kill the mood, she executed it publicly. Right then, another employee named Mitsuya storms into the room yelling at Masugu at full volume. She starts roasting him in front of everyone and says, who do you think you are? Some kind of politician or dictator? Turns out Masugu made her redo an entire PowerPoint presentation just because of one tiny mistake. Honestly, corporate life is terrifying. One misplaced comma and suddenly your whole weekend disappears. The other girls watching this are already scared for their lives. And after Mitsuya leaves, they look at Masugu with pity and say, thank goodness she doesn't stay with you all day. Little do they know, she literally does. Because later that night, Mitsuya goes to Masugu's apartment, and suddenly her personality does a complete 180. Now she's acting all shy and adorable while apologizing for yelling at him earlier. She nervously says, I didn't know how to act around my boyfriend on the first day, and then she immediately starts overthinking like every anime girl ever. You're not gonna break up with me already, right? Meanwhile Masugu is also terrified she might leave him. Bro really unlocked a girlfriend and instantly developed anxiety premium edition. It turns out both of them had crushes on each other for a long time. But somehow Masugu finally gathered the courage to confess, Mitsuya accepted, and they officially started dating just one day ago. So now Masugu asks if they should keep their relationship secret. Mitsuya shyly explains that she has no idea how couples are supposed to act at work, so they probably shouldn't show any affection in the office. And after seeing her cute face, Masugu instantly gives up. Weakness detected. Then Mitsuya says, at work we already fight like cats and dogs. If we don't go out together publicly, nobody will suspect anything. Masugu hears this and starts wondering, what kind of relationship is this? Bro got a girlfriend but still has stealth missions enabled. But then Mitsuya pulls out a mask and says they can secretly go outside together wearing disguises. At this point they're acting less like a couple and more like undercover spies. Still, Masugu agrees because he also doesn't want the office gossip squad talking trash about his girlfriend. Then he pulls her closer, and both of them instantly get embarrassed. Average anime romance moment, holding hands equals emotional damage. A few days later, Mitsuya's manager says someone needs to deliver important documents to the accounting department. The moment Mitsuya hears this, she gets excited because it's the perfect excuse to see Masugu. Bro really became her workplace side quest, so she immediately volunteers for it. But then the other girls suddenly stop her and say, you can't go there, you're always rude to Masugu. The moment she hears that, she makes the saddest face imaginable. Bro looked like a kicked puppy. The real reason she was upset is because the two of them barely got to meet for an entire week. Sometimes work piled up, and sometimes Mitsuya would literally fall asleep while waiting for him. Welcome to adult romance. No villains, just overtime. Since it was the end of the month, the office workload was completely insane. Masugu was suffering too. One day, while thinking about Mitsuya, Masugu steps into an elevator, and suddenly sees her standing right there. Instantly this man's heartbeat starts sounding like a drum solo. But Mitsuya? Completely calm, like she's meeting the delivery guy instead of her boyfriend. And to make things worse, Shizuno is also inside the elevator. She notices both of them and casually says, you two know each other, right? The moment she says that, Mitsuya practically screams, absolutely not. I don't even know this man's name. At this point Masugu is internally dying. Bro's thinking, calm down, you're acting way too hard. People are definitely gonna suspect us now. Seriously, she went from secret relationship to witness protection program. But Shizuno just assumes they still hate each other, so she ignores it. Instead, she warns Mitsuya not to overwork herself because her manager keeps dumping extra tasks on her. Then suddenly the elevator gets crowded. Masugu looks around and realizes this is the first time he's been close to his girlfriend in days, and now he's trapped inside a human sardine can. But then this man's brain activates. He thinks, wait, maybe we can actually use this crowd. And while nobody's looking, he secretly grabs Mitsuya's hand. The moment he does that, her ears and cheeks instantly turn red like tomatoes. Meanwhile this dude is probably fighting for his life trying not to smile. A few days later, office work finally calms down a a bit, so the two decide to go watch a movie together. They've officially been dating for 1 whole month now. Masugu arrives outside the theater first and waits for her, but the moment Mitsuya shows up, bro freezes, because today she looks unbelievably cute. He walks up to her and casually says, "You look really cute today, Yui," and Mitsuya completely shuts down. Why? Because this is the first time he called her by her first name. Anime characters really treat first names like marriage proposals. Now Mitsuya refuses to call him by his first name back, which leads to a tiny argument between them before they finally head inside to watch the movie. And unfortunately for them, the movie is terrifying. Throughout the entire film, Mitsuya clings tightly onto Masugu's hand. Meanwhile, this poor guy is getting more nervous from her hand warmth than the actual horror movie. Bro wasn't fighting ghosts. He was fighting his own blood pressure. After somehow surviving the movie, they walk outside the theater and suddenly spot a man named Suzuki. The second they see him, both of them panic. Suzuki used to be Mitsuya's senior back when she first joined the company. And years ago, people constantly spread rumors that Suzuki and Mitsuya were dating. That's actually one of the reasons Masugu never confessed to her back then. Now Suzuki doesn't suspect them immediately, but he does invite them out to eat together. While Masugu is busy drowning in jealousy, Suzuki casually explains that he's only here for a business trip and got bored at the hotel, so he decided to watch a movie. Then he asks the most dangerous question possible. "Wait, were you two watching the movie together?" And Mitsuya immediately starts panicking again. "No, absolutely not. I came alone. I just randomly bumped into Masugu before the movie started." Bro, this girl lies so aggressively that she somehow sounds more suspicious every time. Suzuki laughs and says, "That makes sense. You could never handle scary movies before." The moment Masugu hears that, jealousy hits him like a truck. This man is literally one sentence away from screaming, "She's my girlfriend, back OFF." But before he can expose everything, Mitsuya grabs his shirt and stops him. Still, after dinner, Suzuki has already figured out what's going on. I mean, come on, these two are overacting harder than Disney Channel actors. Later, while walking home, Mitsuya thanks Masugu for today. And when Masugu finally tries to kiss her, she instantly stops him, because there are still too many people around. Bro's romance progress got cancelled by public settings again. That night, both of them head back to Masugu's apartment. That night, the two finally spend their first night together. And the next morning, Yui wakes up looking completely red from embarrassment. Meanwhile, Masugu is also trying to act normal after last night, even though this man probably got 2 hours of sleep and zero emotional stability. Then both of them head to work wearing the exact same clothes from yesterday. Yeah, very subtle guys. Definitely not suspicious at all. Yui quickly says she'll change clothes once she reaches the office. While riding the train, Maria suddenly appears next to Masugu. Thankfully Yui already left on another train, otherwise these two would have started acting like secret agents again. Masugu asks Maria why she's on this train, and she explains that she recently moved nearby, so now she'll be using this route every day. And just like that, several more days pass. One morning, Masugu is texting Yui while heading to work when the two suddenly run into each other outside. And instantly both of them start overthinking. Wait, should we talk normally right now or not? These two are dating like it's some illegal underground operation. So after awkwardly panicking for a few seconds, they go right back to arguing like cats and dogs while walking into the office together. Honestly, their co-workers must be so confused. That evening, the two go to a bar together, and Yui excitedly tells Masugu that she designed a brand new type of cake and hopes to release it on the market soon. She's super excited about it too. But the very next day, she gets depressed because she can't decide which cake sample tastes the best. At that moment, another girl tells her to go meet someone. So Yui heads over to the accounting department, and Masugu instantly starts overthinking. This girl came all the way here just to see me, right? Bro's delusion level increased immediately. But instead, Yui walks straight past him and heads over to Maria. Absolutely devastating. Turns out Yui wanted Maria to taste test her cake samples. Because secretly, Maria is actually a food blogger who's really good at understanding flavors. Honestly, anime characters collect secret identities like Pokemon cards. With Maria's help, Yui finally chooses the best sample. Afterward, Maria asks Yui not to tell anyone about her food blogger account. Yui laughs and agrees, saying everyone has secrets they don't want others to know. That line hits both of them a little harder than expected. Then Maria suddenly says, "You're really cute, but why do you always fight with Masugu?" And Yui completely freezes because she has no idea how to answer that without exposing herself. But Maria keeps talking anyway and says she personally doesn't like Masugu very much because he's always correcting people. Honestly, this man reviews PowerPoints like a final boss. Yui doesn't like hearing that at all. But before she can get upset, Maria continues and says, "Still, if you ignore all that, Masugu is actually a really kind person. He always puts others before himself and helps everyone." And hearing this makes Yui realize something. Those are the exact same reasons she fell in love with him. So now her brain immediately jumps to, wait, does Maria like him too? Classic anime logic. One compliment equals instant love triangle alert. But Maria instantly shuts that idea down and says she has zero interest in Masugu romantically. Later at home, Yui tells Masugu everything that happened while giving him a shoulder massage. And this man slowly starts losing focus. At first it's just a normal shoulder massage, but then bro starts asking for extra extra areas too. My guy folded instantly. A week later, Yui finally completes her cake recipe and brings sample cakes for everyone in the office. One of the people trying it is Songmi from her department. Meanwhile, Masugu is having the worst day of his life because his boss wants him to remake an entire file from scratch. Corporate jobs really be like, great work, now do it again. While Masugu is mentally collapsing, Yui gives him a slice of cake too. He eats it and says absolutely nothing. So Yui immediately starts yelling at him, tell me honestly, does it taste good or not? And without sugarcoating anything, Masugu gives her a brutally honest review. Surprisingly, Yui actually thanks him for it because she likes how honest he is. Meanwhile, everyone else nearby is completely confused, because somehow the two people who usually fight like wild animals are suddenly talking to each other all softly and lovingly. At this point, the co-workers are probably thinking, either they're secretly dating, or we're all hallucinating. Seeing how hard Yui was working, even Masugu starts thinking, man, I should work harder too. Look at this. Bro got a girlfriend and suddenly unlocked character development. That night, Shizuno invites everyone to an office party. Masugu agrees to go because he assumes Yui will skip it due to work. But the moment he arrives, Yui is already there. And not only that, she's completely drunk. Absolutely demolished. Meanwhile, these two are trying so hard to ignore each other in public that Yui ends up drinking way more than she should. Their relationship really runs on two settings, pretend strangers and panic. Songmi is also at the party, but unlike everyone else, he's quietly sitting alone drinking orange juice instead of alcohol. This man showed up to a drinking party with NPC energy. Then Songmi suddenly gets a phone call and steps outside. The second he leaves, the office gossip committee activates again. The girls start talking about how Songmi and Yui are always together and how Yui constantly helps him because he's too shy to talk to people. And hearing all this makes Masugu jealous. Bro instantly starts spiraling. Why does Yui give so much attention to Songmi? I'm her boyfriend. Meanwhile, she treats me like public enemy number one at work. Honestly, this relationship has more stealth mechanics than Assassin's Creed. Meanwhile, Yui starts feeling sick from drinking too much and heads to the bathroom. Masugu quickly follows her to help. When he sees her barely standing, he tells her she should go rest somewhere. But Yui quietly says she doesn't want to bother anyone. And now Masugu starts blaming himself. This happened because we kept awkwardly ignoring each other. So he gently rubs her back and tells her, I'll stay here until you feel better. The moment he says that, Yui grabs his hand and places it against her neck. Then she whispers, your hand feels really warm, bro. This bathroom scene escalated fast. Masugu slowly starts leaning closer to her, and right at that moment, the bathroom door opens. Of course, because anime romance legally cannot progress without emotional damage. And the person who walks in? Songmi. Not only that, he heard everything. At this point, Masugu's soul probably left his body. So Songmi directly asks, are you two actually dating? Since there's no point hiding it anymore, Masugu finally admits that Yui is his girlfriend. The next day, Yui is absolutely panicking. She tells Masugu they need to handle Songmi carefully before the secret spreads through the office like wildfire. This girl talks about relationships like it's organized crime. Masugu immediately gets scared and says there's no need for that because they can trust Songmi. Then he gently pats her head and tells her not to worry because everything will be fine. Meanwhile, every lonely viewer watching this scene is taking critical emotional damage. Back at work, Shizuno gives Masugu some amazing news. The boss finally approved his project. And this man gets so happy that he immediately goes straight to Songmi and begs him not to tell anyone about their relationship. But Songmi just looks confused and says, you guys didn't commit a crime or anything. People date all the time. Honestly, Songmi is the only mentally stable person in this anime. Masugu explains that he used to think the same way too. But after dating Yui, he realized that romance shouldn't interfere with work. Hearing this, Songmi says he was never planning to tell anyone anyway, because Yui is always kind to him and constantly helps him out, so he would never want to cause her trouble. Masugu feels relieved, until Songmi casually says, well, everyone will find out after you two get married anyway. The moment he hears the word married, Masugu completely freezes. Bro's brain crashed instantly. This man hadn't even thought that far ahead. So instead of answering, he awkwardly changes the subject and escapes back home. The next day at the office, Yui attends a meeting with the rest of her team. Everyone keeps talking about using the same old methods like a bunch of boomers refusing software updates. But Yui confidently suggests they should modernize and start using newer approaches. And immediately, almost everyone in the room disagrees with her. The only person supporting her is Songmi. The moment Yui notices him, she instantly starts panicking again. Because now every time she sees Songmi, she remembers, oh right, this guy knows I'm secretly dating my workplace enemy. Yui keeps getting nervous around Songmi because she still doesn't fully trust him yet. So during the meeting, instead of speaking confidently, she just quietly sits down after nobody supports her idea. That night, Masugu visits her apartment carrying donuts, and the moment Yui sees them, instant happiness. Forget flowers. This girl can be emotionally controlled with sugar. She happily runs off to make coffee for him while Masugu looks around her apartment, and suddenly he notices something important. This girl is obsessed with rabbits. Rabbit decorations everywhere. Rabbit phone cover. Rabbit wallpaper. At this point, if the fridge started hopping around, I wouldn't even question it. Masugu compares it to his own apartment, which looks completely plain and lifeless. Bro lives like an NPC bachelor. Yui comes back with coffee and immediately starts freaking out over which donut flavor to eat first. She grabs the maple cream donut, takes one bite, and instantly melts. This is so good. Then she explains she's wanted to try these for a long time because co-workers always brought them to the office. After that, she asks Masugu which flavor he likes, and this man casually says, "I don't really like sweet things." Then he immediately admits he only bought the donuts for her because he wanted to learn more about what makes Yui happy. What is this character development? This dude went from PowerPoint dictator to romance protagonist. Then Masugu picks up a donut himself while thinking about Yui and says, "You know, I think I'm starting to like sweet things too." Bro is not talking about the donuts. Even Yui realizes it instantly because she just silently stares at him. Then Masugu offers her a chocolate donut and asks if she wants to taste it. And before this man can even process what's happening, Yui walks over, sits in his lap, and kisses him. Direct attack. Critical damage. Masugu instantly turns completely red because this is the first time Yui kissed him first. Honestly, my guy's CPU overheated. Then Yui casually says, "That tasted really sweet," and immediately escapes to the kitchen to make coffee. Girl hit him plus with a romantic finisher and ran away before the cutscene ended. Meanwhile, Masugu is sitting there overheating while laughing to himself because he thinks Yui acting shy afterward is incredibly cute. A little later, after finishing the donuts and coffee, Yui starts worrying again about how she should act around Songmi in the office. Masugu remembers his conversation with Songmi and gently pats her head. He tells her not to worry because Songmi is genuinely a good person. That calms her down a little. But the next day during another meeting, she still can't stop overthinking it. This girl has anxiety running in 4K Ultra HD. During the discussion, one co-worker suggests they should start making different kinds of donuts too, and Yui immediately blurts out, "There's a cafe nearby with really delicious donuts. My friend brought some for me before." Then she suddenly panics after saying friend, because now she's worried people might realize she's secretly talking about her boyfriend. Meanwhile, literally nobody in the room was even listening. Main character syndrome activated, but Sungmi notices her reaction immediately and realizes she's still terrified because of him knowing the secret. A little later, the other co-workers leave the room for some work, leaving only Yui and Sungmi behind. Yui thinks this is finally the perfect chance to talk things out, but instead of speaking first, she waits for Sungmi to say something, and Sungmi says absolutely nothing. So now the room becomes painfully awkward. Honestly, this silence had more tension than most action anime. Finally, after watching Yui panic for several seconds straight, Sungmi sighs and says, "Am I really such a bad person that you can't trust me?" That instantly makes Yui realize she's been overthinking way too much, because Sungmi really is a nice guy. Then Sungmi looks at her nervous face and says, "Masugu was right. You get scared too easily. Honestly, people won't suspect me, they'll suspect you because of your reactions." And honestly, he's completely right. These two hide their relationship with the stealth skills of toddlers. The next day, Masugu is in a meeting with Shizuno and Maria when Shizuno asks him to bring some files from the warehouse. So Masugu heads off to get them. While carrying the files back, Masugu suddenly hears noises coming from the room next door. So naturally, this man investigates like he's in a horror game. When he walks inside, he finds Yui searching for something, and the moment she sees him, she gets super happy. Honestly, these two react to seeing each other like soldiers reuniting after war. Masugu immediately starts helping her look around. Yui pretends to refuse, but internally, she's absolutely loving this. After organizing everything, Yui needs to place something on the top shelf, so she climbs up a ladder. Masugu quickly tells her he'll do it instead. But of course Yui ignores him because anime girls lose all survival instincts near ladders. So Masugu stands below holding the ladder steady so she won't fall. Unfortunately for him, he suddenly realizes he can see everything under her skirt from that angle. Bro got flashbanged, and instead of suffering silently like a normal human being, this idiot actually says, "Good thing I'm standing here because I can totally see under your skirt." Why would you say that out loud? Yui instantly turns completely red from embarrassment. Then she loses her balance and almost falls, but Masugu catches her just in time. Now the two of them are inches apart. Classic anime physics activated, and just as they're about to kiss, the storage room door suddenly opens. Of course it does, because romance anime legally cannot allow happiness for longer than 7 seconds. Yui's co-workers walk in while calling out for her. Apparently the meeting ended early, so they came to help. But the weird thing is, they don't see anyone, because the second Masugu and Yui heard their voices, they both dug behind the shelves to hide. And now they're stuck in the most uncomfortable position imaginable. Masugu is awkwardly folding one leg while Yui is basically sitting in his lap. At this point Yui is so embarrassed she's probably seeing her ancestors. Meanwhile Masugu has an entirely different problem. If Yui moves moves even slightly forward, certain body parts are going to touch. But if he moves backward even a little, the giant board behind him is gonna fall over and expose them instantly. And to make things even worse, if someone saw them in this position, it would absolutely look like they were doing something suspicious. These two really turned office work into a stealth mission. Eventually the co-workers finish cleaning the storage room and leave, and both Masugu and Yui finally breathe again like they just escaped prison. Then the two start nervously laughing and promise each other they'll never do something this risky again. Especially not at the office. Yeah, sure, I totally believe them. The next day after work, Shizuno gives everyone tickets to a baseball game, and Masugu instantly gets super excited because he absolutely loves baseball. But when he sits down inside the stadium, he can't believe Yui is sitting right beside him. Turns out Shizuno invited people from Songmi's department too. Masugu feels incredibly happy because this is technically the first time he's watching baseball with his girlfriend. Meanwhile, Yui knows absolutely nothing about baseball, like genuinely zero knowledge. She probably thinks RBI is a bank, but seeing Masugu so excited makes her happy too. So every time something exciting happens in the match, the two keep high-fiving each other. Honestly, this is probably their healthiest date yet. During halftime, they go buy snacks, but in the crowd, someone accidentally bumps into Yui, and immediately Masugu grabs her hand protectively so she doesn't get pushed again. The moment he does that, Yui's heart starts racing like crazy. Meanwhile, this dude probably doesn't even realize how smooth that was. When they finally return to their seats, an amazing play happens on the field. Masugu gets so hyped that he accidentally hugs Yui out of excitement, then instantly panics and starts looking around to see if anyone noticed. Meanwhile, literally nobody cares. Everyone's too busy enjoying the game. Shizuno is completely drunk and screaming at the top of her lungs, and next to her, Songmi looks like a hostage wondering how his life ended up like this. Meanwhile, our secret couple sits back down together. Yui leans close to Masugu and whispers something into his ear, but because the stadium is so loud, he can't hear her at all.